The holiday of Shavuot is a holiday where we celebrate getting the Torah. And you might remember from the beginning of the year when we were in the synagogue, we went to the sanctuary upstairs, the big room where we pray upstairs, and I took the Torah out of the ark. So Shavuot celebrates getting the Torah. And we study the Torah. We learn what's important about being Jewish and being connected to God. So we have a funny story that I want to share with you today. It's called Kopecks for blintzes. So kopek is like a penny, but it's what they called a penny in Russia, far away. And blintzes is one kind of food that we eat on Shavuot because it's made with cheese. And we're supposed to eat food that has cheese in it and that is sweet for the holiday. We'll find out in the story why that is. Kopecks for blintzes, and it's a funny story. You see the man and the woman and flying chickens all around. So we'll see what happens with those chickens and why they're flying away. Chelm was the town where this story takes place, far away. Was a small town like many in Poland, except for two very important differences. The first was that the people in the town of Chelm were so foolish, they were kind of silly, they all believed they were the smartest people on earth. The second was that they had 13 commandments instead of the usual 10. What kind of town was that would have 13 commandments instead of 10 commandments? What a silly town. This is the story of how they received the extra 3 commandments in the town of Chelm. One evening, Yankel and his wife Gittel were sitting in their tiny, slanted house at the top of the steepest hill in Chelm. All was quiet. Their many sons and daughters were sound asleep. Yankel sighed deeply. That's how you sigh deeply. Gittel asked, "What's wrong, Yankel?" Yankel said, "In a couple of weeks, it's going to be Shavuot. Everyone will celebrate Moses getting the 10 commandments at Mount Sinai. Just this morning, the rabbi," see the man with the white beard, reminded us that because the Torah and the commandments are sweet on the tongue, on Shavuot we should eat food prepared with milk and honey because they're sweet too. That means blintzes. We're supposed to have blintzes on Shavuot. But, Gittel, we can't afford to make blintzes for Shavuot. We just don't have the money to buy what we need for blintzes. This was true. Yankel earned very little money as a teacher, and with so many children in their home to clothe and feed, he and Gittel had little money to spare. Gittel sighed too. If only we had a few coins, then I would make the best blintzes. They sat lost in thought, imagining, here they are picturing what the blintzes would look like, smothered in sour cream and dripping with honey or strawberry jam. Suddenly, Yankel jumped up. "I know what we can do," he cried. "Remember that old trunk that my great-aunt Frumma gave us as a wedding gift?" Gittel wrinkled her nose like this, kind of like that. "Who could forget it? It's so big and awful that it's been in the backyard since she gave it to us." "That old trunk is going to solve all our problems," said Yankel, "and look at the chickens sitting on top of the trunk." They ran to the backyard. Yankel looked at the ugly, dirty trunk. Then he told Gittel his idea. "I'll make a small hole in the top of the trunk. Every day we'll drop in a kopek, a penny. In a couple of weeks we'll open the trunk and we'll use the coins to buy the ingredients for blintzes." Gittel clapped her hands. "What an excellent plan, Yankel. You are one of the wisest men in Chelm." Gittel and Yankel washed and cleaned the trunk and even greased the very squeaky wheels on the bottom of it. When they finished, Yankel cut a hole in the top and dropped in a kopeck. Gittel dropped in a kopeck too. "We'll be eating blintzes in no time," said Yankel. The next afternoon, Gittel fished out a kopeck from her apron pocket and went to the trunk, ready to drop it in. But suddenly she thought, why should I put in a coin when Yankel is the one who works and brings money from his teaching every day? Let Yankel put the coins in. So she put her coin back in her pocket. That night, when Yankel came home, he searched in his vest pocket for a kopeck. He was about to drop it in the trunk when he thought, why should I put in my hard-earned money when Gittel should do it? She must have plenty of money left over after taking care of going to the grocery store. With what she puts in, surely there'll be enough for blintzes. So he put the coin back in his pocket, and this went on for several days. On the morning before Shavuot, Gittel, Yankel, and their children gathered in front of the trunk, looking forward to seeing all the coins inside. Yankel lifted the lid, and everyone looked inside. Look at that! Only 2 coins inside the trunk. "What? We've been robbed," said Yankel. "Gewalt," Gittel wailed. "Those thieves left us only 2 coins. Oh no." But then, out of the corner of her eye, she looked at Yankel. "Tell me the truth, Yankel. Did you drop in any coins in the trunk?" "Well, no. I knew yours would be enough." Yankel's eyes widened. "You mean you didn't drop in any coins either?" "Well, if you had put in your coins, we would have had enough," said Gittel. Yankel groaned. Now we won't have any blintzes, and it's all your fault." "If you weren't so stingy, this never would have happened," Gittel yelled. She jabbed Yankel in the chest with her finger. He stepped back, he tripped, lost his footing, and he fell into the trunk. He grabbed Gittel by her apron, and she fell into the trunk with him. They're inside the trunk now. The lid, Gittel fell into the trunk on top of him. The lid slammed shut, and slowly the trunk started rolling into the yard and down the hill. Because remember, it's on wheels. Uh-oh, where are they going? As the trunk rolled down the hill into the crowded street of town, it gathered speed. "Oi, oi, oi," Yankel yelled. "Gewalt," Gittel shouted. But people were scrambling to get out of the way. It narrowly missed an old woman who made a sign to ward off the evil eye because they thought there were ghosts inside the trunk making the noise. They didn't know people were inside it. "There's a ghost in the trunk. I heard it yelling. Forces of evil have come to Chelm." A crowd of scared but very curious people ran after the trunk. At last, it reached the bottom of the hill and rolled right to a stop in front of the synagogue. Here is the rabbi coming out to touch the trunk. The rabbi, who had been decorating the synagogue for Shavuot, looked up in surprise and approached the trunk and heard muffled sounds coming from inside. As he reached out to lift the latch, a man yelled, "Don't touch it, Rabbi! There are ghosts inside." A woman added, "If they're let loose, we'll all be lost." The rabbi's gentle face paled. He reached for his prayer book, turned page after page, looking for a prayer to get rid of ghosts from Chelm. When he finally found it, he closed his eyes, swayed back and forth, and he mumbled the words from the prayer book. The townspeople stepped back just in case the prayer hadn't done its job. Ever so slowly, the rabbi opened the trunk, and out popped Gittel and Yankel. Look at them, all tired and sweaty from having been inside the trunk. They're not ghosts after all. It's Gittel and Yankel. Everyone stared. "How did you get to be inside the trunk?" said the rabbi. When he had heard the story, the rabbi sighed. "Go home, everyone. This has been a terrible experience for all of us. So I must think of a way to prevent it from happening again. How do we keep people from falling inside a trunk?" The rabbi went to his study, looked at his books, studied his books. All night he searched for an answer. After a sleepless night, he came to a decision. The following morning, during Shavuot services, right after the 10 Commandments were read, the rabbi announced 3 new commandments. They were written in black letters on a board and placed at the entrance to the synagogue. What are the new 3 commandments that the people of Chelm should never ever do? You should not allow a teacher of Chelm to live on a hill, right? Because at the top of the hill, that's where he rolled down the hill. Makes sense. You should not allow a teacher of Chelm to make blintzes, because if he hadn't wanted to make blintzes, then they wouldn't have had a problem of looking for the pennies. And you should allow no teacher of Chelm to own a trunk with wheels. And that's the story. And there they were still, reminding everyone that Chelm is home to the world's silliest people. And they were enjoying eating their blintzes anyway. Isn't that a silly story? Trying to get money for the blintzes, they fall in a trunk, roll down the hill, and the rabbi says, no more teachers living on a hill. No more teachers trying to make blintzes. Silly rules for the town of Chelm. So, a silly story for blintzes for Shavuot. Hope everybody has a Chag Sameach next week and a Shabbat Shalom tonight and tomorrow. Bye, everybody, and fist bumps for everybody. Shabbat Shalom.